students, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. I hope you all are doing good. So today in this tutorial we are going to discuss class 10th science chapter number 15, our environment. This chapter is from biology and it's a very interesting chapter. In this chapter we'll read about our environment. Uh, what are the components of our environment, how we are affecting our human, how human activities are affecting our environment, about ozone layer depletion, garbage disposal. Those topics we'll read in this chapter. So so uh, let's begin with our discussion for this chapter, our environment. Before starting, guys, I have a small request from you all. If you're really liking my tutorial and my work, then please like it and share it with your friends, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so that whenever I will be uploading a new video, you'll get the notification for that. So let's start with our chapter. First of all, you should know what is environment. So as you know that environment environment is what we where we are living. Everything that surround us is called environment, right? So from your junior classes you are reading the definition of environment, that everything which surround us is environment. So what are the components of environment? It has two components, biotic and abiotic components. All the living things are considered under biotic components, and all the non-living things are considered under abiotic components. Living things, for example plants and animals, are biotic components. Non-living things like air, water, soil, temperature, those things are abiotic components. So in our environment, biotic and abiotic components are present. Now, what is ecosystem? About ecosystem also we have to read in this chapter. The interaction between the biotic and non-biotic components form an ecosystem. Means when the biotic components like plants and animals will interact with the soil, air, water, temperature, then that thing is called ecosystem. In an ecosystem, living components depend on each other for food, which gives rise to food chain and food web in nature. So what happens in an ecosystem? Plants are present, animals are present. So what will happen? All the living organisms will depend on each other for the food. For example, plants will produce the food. The herbivores animals, which eat only the plants, they will depend on the food for their food, right? And next, the carnivores animal, they will eat the herbivores animal. Like this, the chain will like this they will form a chain, and that chain is called food chain. And after that we have food web. So what is food web? Interconnected food chain is called food web. When various types of food chain will interconnect among themselves, they will have some connections among themselves, that is called food web. Human activities are responsible for environmental problems. As you know, as the population is increasing, our needs are also increasing. Because of that, there are so many environmental problems around us, like ozone layer depletion, garbage production, etc. So about these are the basic things which we are going to read in this chapter. As you can see in this flowchart, we have ecosystem, that is also called habitat. Habitat is a place where the living organism live, right? So in ecosystem we have two components, biotic components and abiotic components. So what are the things which come under biotic components? Plants and animals, because these are the living things. And under abiotic components you can write soil, air, sunlight and water. So we'll continue with our discussion with the components of ecosystem, its types. Next, we have ecosystem and its types. First of all, we'll look at the definition of ecosystem. That is important from your exam point also. Questions are asked from this section. What is ecosystem? Okay, then you have to write this definition. All the interacting organism in an area together with the non-living constituents of the environment forms an ecosystem. All the interacting organisms means all the living organisms. When they will interact with the non-living constituents, means abiotic factor, they will form an ecosystem. So that definition also you can write. Interaction between the living organisms with the non-living organism forms an ecosystem. Or you can write this one also. All the interacting organisms in an area together with the non-living constituents of the environment forms an ecosystem. Interacting organisms, why we have written? Because all the plants and animals, they will interact with each other, right? And they will also interact with the non-living constituent like air, water, soil and water. So they will form an ecosystem. So what are the examples of ecosystem? Forest is an ecosystem. As you know that in forest different types of plants are present, birds are present, animals are present. They all will interact with each other, with the soil, air, water, temperature in that area. So forest is an ecosystem. In ponds also, aquatic plants, aquatic animals, water is present. Okay, so they will interact among themselves, so that is also an ecosystem. Garden is also an ecosystem. In garden, various types of plants, small trees, flowers, birds, insects, butterflies, air, water, soil, everything will be present in a garden, so they will interact among themselves. So ecosystem is also an eco is a garden is also an ecosystem. Next we have lakes. In lakes also various types of aquatic plants, animals can be seen along with air, water and temperature. So that is also an ecosystem. So these are the examples of ecosystem. You should know this these examples also. Whenever a question is asked that what is ecosystem, you have to write the definition along with the example. So you will get good marks in that. Now we have two types of ecosystem, natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. As the name indicates, natural ecosystem means it will be present in the nature by its own, and artificial means man-made. The ecosystems which are made by man are called artificial ecosystem. Now we'll have a look on the definition of natural and artificial ecosystem. So what is natural ecosystem? The ecosystem which are present in the nature by its own is called natural ecosystem. Okay, they are present in the nature by its own. They are formed by the nature only. So it is called natural ecosystem. Example, you can know forest. Forest, no one has made the forest. Forest is present in the nature by its own, right? Grassland is also a natural ecosystem. Ocean, ponds, they are all the example of natural ecosystems. So you can remember forest, grassland, ocean, right? Next we have artificial ecosystem. The ecosystem which are made by man, okay, which man has made, are called artificial or man-made ecosystem. You can, the easiest example of artificial ecosystem is garden. Aquarium is also one of the example of artificial ecosystem. You have seen in the aquarium, water is there, fish is there, small plants also can be seen on the aquarium. Tortoise can also live with the fish. So that is also an ecosystem, and where different types of organisms are living with each other. Next, crop fields. In the farmlands or in the fields, farmers are growing the crops. So that is also an artificial ecosystem. Examples, so you can write this one: crop field, garden or aquarium. Now look at the flow chart over there. Ecosystems are of two types: natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Now again, natural ecosystems are divided into two types: terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial means land, okay, aquatic means water. So ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem can again divided into grassland ecosystem, forest ecosystem and desert ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem we can divide into freshwater water ecosystem and marine ecosystem. So these are the types of ecosystem. So mainly you have to remember that ecosystems are of two types: natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem, along with the examples. Next we have components of ecosystem. Components means what are the things which are present in the ecosystem, okay, parts of the ecosystem. So just now we have read that it consists, there are two components of ecosystem: biotic and abiotic component. Biotic means living and abiotic means non-living. Biology, about bio means, what do you understand by bio? Living. So biotic components mean living components like plants and animals, and abiotic components mean non-living components like air, water, temperature, soil, etc. Now you can look at the flowchart given over there. Components of ecosystem: biotic components and abiotic components. In abiotic components we have air, water, land, you can write soil, temperature, okay, and in biotic components plants and animals are there. Now again we are dividing these biotic components into three types: producers, consumers and decomposers. Producers means those who prepare the plant, those who make the plant. For example, make the food. For example, plants are the producers. Consumers, who will depend on the food prepared by the producers, are called consumers, like the animals. Decomposers are, for example, microorganisms which will feed on the dead bodies of plants and animals, which will help in the breaking down of dead bodies of plants and animals. Those are called decomposers, like microorganism, bacteria, fungi, those things you can write. Again we'll divide consumers into four types. Consumers are of four types: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores and parasites. What are herbivores? Herbivores are those animals which will eat only plant. Carnivores are those animals which will depend on other animals for their food, right? Omnivores are those animals which will eat both plants and animals, like for example human beings, man. Parasites are those organism which will live inside the body of living organism for their food and shelter, like head lice, right? So these are the four types of consumers. So we'll read about these things in detail. First of all, what are abiotic components? All the non-living components. Okay, for abiotic you should always remember these are the non-biotic components. Example: air, water, temperature, soil, minerals, wind, rainfall, etc. forms the abiotic components of an ecosystem. Correct? Now we have biotic components. Biotic means living. So all the living components like plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, etc. forms the biotic components. Okay. Next, on the basis of nutrition, biotic components are divided into three types. Now you can see over there, biotic components are divided into three types. Nutrition means their mode of taking the food, right? Nutrition means the mode of taking the food. On the basis of nutrition, biotic components again will divide into three types: producers, consumers, as well as decomposers. First, what are producers? So all the green plants and blue-green algae can produce their own food, can make their own food by which process? By the help of photosynthesis, by using from inorganic substances. Inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, chlorophyll. Okay, in the presence of sunlight, they will make the food by the process of photosynthesis. From your junior classes, you know that green plants can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So all the green plants along with the blue-green algae can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, all the green plants are called producers. Why they are called producers? Because they can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. And what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process of making food by the green plants by using carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. Correct? So we have discussed about the producers. Example of producers are green plants. Next, what are consumers? Consumers are those organisms which depend on other organism for their food. Consumers means they will depend on other organism for their food. The consumers depend on producers directly or indirectly for their food. For example, if we take the example of deer, deer will eat the plant, so they are depending on plants directly. But again, if that deer will be eaten by the lion, so lion is depending on plants directly or indirectly because it has eaten the deer and deer has eaten the plants. So lion is depending on the plants or the producers directly or indirectly. So consumers are those organisms which will depend on other organisms for their food. Okay, and all the consumers will depend on producers directly or indirectly on their food. Consumers can be divided into four types. Just now we have seen in the flowchart: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores and parasites. So you should know the definition of all the four types of consumers, because in the question it can be asked, write the difference between herbivores and carnivores, write the difference between parasites and omnivores. So that time you should know those things. Okay. First of all, herbivores. Herbivores are those animals which will eat only the plants. Okay. Example, cow and deer, you can write DER. Okay. Next we have carnivores. They will eat only animals like lion and tiger. Next, parasites. They will live and feed on the body of other living organism. Like you can write Plasmodium. It is responsible for the malaria disease. You can write head lice also in parasite. Next we have omnivores. They will feed on both plants and flesh, means they will eat both plants also and animals also. Like for example, crow. You can write dog also. You can write humans also, as we are eating both plants as well as animals, right? So these are the four types of consumers. Parasites, you can remember this Plasmodium also, and you can remember head lice also. They live inside the body of living organism and obtain their food and shelter from them. Okay. Next we have decomposers. So what are decomposers? Decomposers means breaking. They help in the breaking down of any substance. The organisms which break down or decompose, okay, they will break down or decompose dead plants and animals and complex compound into simpler forms are called decomposer. As you know, during digestion, what happens in our stomach? The foods are broken down into small pieces by the help of enzymes. The same work the decomposers also do. They used to break down the dead bodies of plants and animals into small forms so that they will be mixed up with the soil. Okay, they help in the replenishment of natural resources, and they also make the soil fertile also. Decomposers also help in making the soil fertile. Example, you can write fungi and bacteria. Correct? So all the three types, producers, consumers and decomposers, we have discussed. All the three types of biotic factors. Next, we'll discuss about the importance of decomposers. Why decomposers are important to us, or why microorganisms are important to us. Decomposers break down the bodies of dead plants and animals and clean the environment. This is the first point, that decomposers help in breaking down the bodies of dead plants and animals, and those bodies of dead plants and animals will be mixed up with the soil, so the environment will be clean. Because of that, they add nutrients to the soil and maintain the fertility of the soil. As the dead bodies of plants and animals contains carbon, okay, they are very rich in nutrients, so if they will be mixed with the soil, the nutrient of the soil will also increase and the fertility of the soil will be maintained. They help in replenishment of natural resources. Okay, they also help to replenish the natural resources. So these are the 3 points by which we can say that decomposers are very important to us. One question can be asked from the section also, what is the importance of decomposers? Then you can write these points over there. Okay, decomposers are very important to us, right? They help to clean the environment, they help to maintain the fertility of the soil, they help in replenishment of natural resources. Those points you can write, right? Next we'll discuss about food chain. This is a very important question. 1 marks question is generally asked from this topic. What is food chain? So what is food chain? Now we'll have a look on the definition. The sequence of living organism. Sequence means it will form a chain like this. One organism will be present over there, and they will form a long chain. The sequence of living organism in a community in which one organism consumes another organism to transfer food energy is called food chain. In this, what will happen? First of all, suppose if I have taken the example. Organism number 2 will eat 1, 3 will eat 2, and 4 organism or animal will eat the third organism. Like this, what will happen? One of the organism will be consumed or eaten by the other organism, and like this the food or energy is transferred from one organism to the other organism. They are forming a chain that is called a food chain. So what you will write? The sequence of living organism in a community in which one organism consumes other organism. One organism will eat the other organism to transfer food energy is called a food web. A food chain is unidirectional, means transfer of energy will be in one direction only, like this. The flow of energy will be in one direction, so it is called unidirectional, where the transfer of energy take place in one direction only. For example, if we take in forest, so in forest what are present? Plants are present, right? Plants will be eaten by the deer and deer will be eaten by the lion. So this is forming one food chain in forest. If we'll talk about grassland, in grassland grasses are present. Grasses will be eaten by the insects, okay, like grasshopper, and those insects will be eaten by the frog will be eaten by the snake, and snake will be eaten by the eagle. So they are forming a food chain. One organism is consumed by the other organism and transfer of energy or food is also taking place over there, so it is called a food chain. So these are the examples. In this, what you have to remember? You have to remember the definition of food chain. The sequence of living organism in a community in which one organisms consume other organism to transfer food energy is called a food chain. An example also, okay. Next, we'll discuss about the trophic level. This is also important. What is trophic level? Okay, the various steps in the food chain at which transfer of energy or food takes place is called a trophic level. For example, if we have organism number 1 to 2, so the steps like this, we have 2 steps over there. Okay, so these are called the trophic level. Okay, the steps in the food chain at which transfer of energy from 1 to 2 some energy is transferred, for 2 to 3 some energy is transferred. So these steps are called the energy levels, or the steps present in the food chain are called trophic levels. The various steps in the food chain at which transfer of energy or food takes place is called a trophic level. Okay, the steps in the food chain where transfer of energy or food will take place, that is called trophic level. There is a gradual decrease in amount of energy transfer from one trophic level to the next trophic level in a food chain. Suppose if we'll take the example over there, first of all, producers will be present. Producers, they have a lot of energy. You can see 10,000 kilocalorie of energy. After that, primary consumers will be there who will eat the producers, like plants. They will be eaten by some animals over there. Next, they have 1,000 kilocalorie of energy. Next, we have secondary consumers which will eat the primary consumer. They have only 100 kilocalorie of energy. And at last, we have the tertiary consumers which are at the top of the food chain. They have only 10 kilocalorie of energy. So what happens? So in each of the step of the food chain, energy is decreasing, and at the top, the energy will be least. The energy will be decreased gradually from moving from one step to the other step, or one trophic level to the next trophic level. Flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. That I have told you that energy will always flow in one direction only. Plants capture 1% of sunlight and convert into food energy. Okay, during photosynthesis, what the plants will do, they will capture 1% of sunlight. Okay, they will absorb 1% of sunlight and convert it into food energy. Next we have 10% law. This is very important. 10% law. What is this 10% law? 10% law states that only 10% of energy is transferred to the next tropic level. As you can see in this diagram, first we have 10,000 calorie, then 1000, then 100, then 10. So whenever the flow of energy will take place in a food chain, only 10% of the energy will be transferred to the next tropic level. From this tropic level to this tropic level, only 10% of energy will take transferred. From this to this, only 10% energy. Like this, whenever the flow of energy will take place, only 10% of energy will be transferred to the next tropic level. Then what will happen to the remaining 90% of the energy? The remaining 90% of the energy will be used in life processes, means various activities carried out by the living organism. Like that 90% of energy will be used in digestion, reproduction, growth, etc. Okay, so what is 10% law? 10% law states that only 10% of the energy is transferred to the next trophic level, and remaining 90% will be used in different life processes like digestion, reproduction, growth, etc. Okay, due to this gradual decrease in energy, food chains contain 3 to 4 trophic level. Means whenever you look at the example of food chain, you can see only 3 or 4 organisms are only involved. Okay, because decrease in energy is carrying on, so only 3 or 4 trophic levels can be seen in a food chain. Okay, now you can look at the example over there, the solar energy or the plant solar energy. It is having 1000 joules of energy. Plant will absorb 1% of sunlight. Okay, after that, from the plants to the deer, 10% of energy will be transferred. From deer to the lion, 10% of energy is transferred. So this is also a food chain in which this is showing a trophic level in which 10% of energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next trophic level. You can see, look at over there also, producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Next you can look at the food chains over there. In forest, plants will be eaten by the deer, deer will be eaten by the lion. Next, this is the example of grassland. Grasses will be eaten by the insect, insect will be eaten by the frog, frog will be eaten by the snake, and snake will be eaten by the eagle. And one more example is given over there is plant. Aquatic plants will be eaten by the crabs, and all those will be eaten by the fish, and that will be eaten by the your ducks and those things. Okay, so this is an example of grassland, forest, and pond. This is also one of the example. Plant is eaten by the grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by this one bird, and this bird is eaten by the snake, and snake is eaten by the owl. Okay, so this is also a food chain. Next we have biological magnification. This is very important topic. Okay, biological magnification. In each standard also you have read about this biological magnification in our environment chapter. So what is biological magnification? Biological magnification means accumulation of chemicals like pesticides, DDT, insecticides in the body of a living organism is called biological magnification. What is the definition of biological magnification? The increase in concentration. Concentration means amount of harmful chemicals like DDT, insecticides, pesticides in the body of organism in each trophic level in a food chain is called biological magnification. So biological magnification, you have to remember that the increase in concentration of harmful chemicals in the body of organism. Okay, increase in concentration, increase in amount of chemicals in the body of organism is called biological magnification. In each trophic level in food chain is called biological magnification. So whenever you will move from one trophic level to the other trophic level in a food chain, the amount of chemical will be increased, and it will be highest at the top of the organism which is present at the top of the food chain. Okay, suppose if you are taking the example of grass, then grasshopper, then your frog, then if we take the example of your some other animals like your goat or something, if that again that human being, then being will be most affected, because in human beings the accumulation of chemicals will be the largest in that case. Okay, so as human beings occupy the top level in any food chain, the maximum concentration of these chemicals get accumulated in our bodies. For example, the farmers, they have applied some pesticides or weedicides in the farms. Okay, those crops, they will get those chemicals. If we will eat those crops, then what will happen? Those chemicals will enter into our body also through food chain. So the human beings will be most affected, as in their body the amount or concentration of those chemicals will be more. Okay, Suppose if we are eating the fish and fish has eaten some other insects in whose body the amount of chemical is more, then in our body also the chemicals will enter through food chain. So human beings are the most affected as they are present at a top level in any food chain, and the maximum concentration of these chemicals get accumulated in our bodies and will suffer from many diseases. So what is biological magnification? Increase in concentration of harmful chemicals in our body in each trophic level in a food chain is called biological magnification. Our next topic is food web. What is food web? Just in the beginning, I have told you that interconnected food chain is called food web. Okay, that is the simplest definition of food web. So you can write that also. Interconnected food chain is called food web. The interconnected food chain operating in an ecosystem which establish a network of relationship between various species are called a food web. Means what is food chain? When different types of food chain will interconnect among themselves and they will make some relationship among the different species over there. That is called a food web. In a food web, organisms may occupy a position in more than one food chain. Means there will be different types of food chain. So organisms will be present different position in different food chain. Okay, for example, fish is there. The fish will occupy, suppose it is occupying second position in one food chain, it can occupy third position also in one food chain. Like that it can happen. An organism obtain its food from different sources and in turn may be eaten up by different types of organism. So in food web what happens, that an organism or species which is present, it can obtain its food from different types of sources and it can be eaten by the different types of organism also. So what is food web? Interconnected food chain is called food web, or you can learn this definition also. Okay. Next, you can look at the example over there. You can see so many food chains are there which are interconnected in each other. They have some relationship among themselves. So this is called a food web. Now, the last topic of this chapter, how do our activities affect the environment? Means how human activities are affecting the environment. As you all know that population is increasing. As the population is increasing, our needs are also increasing, right? And because of that, we are polluting our environment. Because of us, so many environmental problems are there around us, right? Changes in the environment affect us and our activities. Okay, if some environmental change will be there, then they will affect our activities also, and if we will do something, then it can affect the environment also. Human activities can lead to environmental problems. So what are the environmental problems which are there because of human activities? Pollution, different types of pollution, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. All the pollution are because of the human beings. Depletion of ozone layer. The ozone layer is getting depleted because of human activities, which is very important for us. Waste disposal, so many waste are there in the environment which are because of the human activities only. So first of all, we'll discuss about ozone layer and how it is getting depleted. So first of all, what is ozone layer? This is very important topic. Okay, what is ozone layer? As you know that ozone layer is a very protective blanket around the earth which absorb most of the harmful UV radiations of the sunlight. Okay, so what is ozone layer? Okay, at the top of the atmosphere what happens, one blanket type of layer is there made up of ozone formula of ozone is O3. Okay, three atoms of oxygen will combine together to form ozone layer forms a very protective blanket at the top of the atmosphere, and it will protect us from the harmful UV radiation, harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun. And if those ultraviolet radiation can reach to the human beings, they can cause various diseases like skin cancer, cataract, even they can cause damage to plants and animals also. So what ozone layer does, it protect us from the harmful UV radiations of the sun. This is the most important function of ozone layer. It protect us from the harmful UV radiations of the sun. If ozone layer will be depleted, it will get depleted, its amount will decrease in the atmosphere, then what will happen? We can suffer from many diseases because of UV radiation like skin cancer, cataract, etc. So ozone layer is a protective blanket around the earth which absorbs most of the harmful UV radiations, right? Ozone layer is present at high level of atmosphere, that is stratosphere. As you know that there are different layers of atmosphere like ionosphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. So in the stratosphere layer, ozone layer is present. It is a deadly poisonous at ground level, but if this gas will be present at the ground level, it can be poisonous also. Okay. Now, how the ozone molecules are formed? How O3 molecules are formed? First of all, the high energy UV radiation means ultraviolet radiation will break down O2 molecule into free oxygen. This oxygen molecule will be broken down by the UV rays. UV rays will act on this bond, and this oxygen molecule will be O2 molecule will be broken down into O and O. In the next step, what will happen? Oxygen molecule will combine with one of the oxygen atom to form O3 molecules. So these are the reactions involved in the formation of ozone. Depletion of ozone layer. Now, what are the factors because of which the ozone layer is getting depleted? Because of the human activities only, ozone layer is getting depleted. And the most important factor which leads to the ozone layer depletion is chlorofluorocarbon, CFCs. Okay, the decrease in the thickness of ozone layer over Antarctica was first discovered in 1985, and it was termed as ozone hole. First time the scientists have seen that in the Antarctica the thickness of ozone layer is getting decreased in the year 1985, and it was termed as ozone hole. This decrease was linked to excessive use of synthetic chemicals like chlorofluorocarbon, which are used in the refrigerators, ACs, fire extinguishers, aerosol sprays, etc. And why this ozone hole was made? What was the cause for that? It was because of the excessive use of synthetic chemical like chlorofluorocarbon. This is one of the chemical which is used in the refrigerators nowadays, in the ACs, in the fire extinguishers, aerosols, sprays, etc. Because of this chlorofluorocarbon, the ozone layer is getting depleted nowadays. So it is recommended that the refrigerators, AC should be made free from this chlorofluorocarbon, so that our ozone layer should not be getting affected. United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, succeeded in forcing an agreement to stop CFC production in 1986 levels, okay, by all the countries. So this UNEP, it said that in 1986 that all the countries, they should stop the production of CFC, okay, so that our ozone layer should not get depleted. Next, we have managing the garbage we produce. So how can we produce, how we can manage the garbage? Okay, so in our daily activities, we generate a lot of materials that are thrown away, right? Human activities, because of human activities, so many garbages and waste are produced around us, because of which our environment is getting polluted. So there are mainly two types of materials which are present in the garbage: biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. So there are two types of waste: biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Biodegradable means which can be broken down, non-biodegradable which cannot be broken down. So now we'll look at the definitions of biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. This is very important topic. What are biodegradable waste? Give example. What are non-biodegradable waste? Give example. Most of the time these questions are asked. So what are biodegradable waste? The waste which are decomposed or broken down by the action of microorganisms are called biodegradable waste. Microorganism will break down these waste into small pieces. Example: vegetable peel, fruit peel, cotton, jute, paper, etc. They will be broken down into small pieces by the microorganism, and finally they will be mixed with the soil. So these are called biodegradable waste. What are non-biodegradable waste? These waste are not decomposed or broken down by the action of microorganisms and are called non-biodegradable waste. Example: plastics, glass, metals, pesticides. You can write DDT also. Those things, those waste will not be broken down by the microorganism, right? And they will cause, and they can lead to various types of pollution in the environment. Now, what are the differences between biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste? Generally, this question is asked. Write the differences between biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. The first point, what you can write the definition in the first point. These waste can be broken down into simpler forms. These waste cannot be broken down into simpler forms. They are not harmful to plants and animals, right? Biodegradable waste are not harmful to plants and animals. But non-biodegradable waste, they are harmful to plants and animals. They do not cause pollution. Biodegradable waste will not cause any pollution. Example: fruits, vegetables, paper, etc. They cause pollution. Example: plastics, glass, and DDT. For biodegradable waste, you can write one more point. They are present in the environment for less time, and non-biodegradable waste, they are present in the environment for long time. Now, what are the methods of waste disposal? In this topic, we'll read about the different methods of waste disposal. The first point, we have biogas plant. Okay, what is biogas plant? Biodegradable waste can be used in biogas plant to produce biogas and manures. Means the cow dung, etc. can be used in the biogas plant to produce biogas and manure, which are used in many of the ways, right? Next, we have sewage treatment plant, STP. The rainwater can be cleaned in sewage treatment plant before adding it to rivers. Okay, the waters which is polluted, first it is treated in the sewage treatment plant. After that, it will be cleaned, and then it is given to the rivers. Landfilling. The waste are buried in low-lying areas and are compacted by rolling with bulldozers. Most of the waste in the are used for filling the lands. Okay, and after that they will be rolled by the bulldozers. Compositing. What is compositing? Organic waste are filled in a compost pit and covered with a layer of soil. After about 3 months, garbage changes to manure. In compositing, what happens? The organic waste means the biodegradable waste are filled in compost pit. Okay, very big holes type of air are made in that. The waste are given, and after that those waste are covered with a layer of soil, and after 3 to 4 months those garbage changes into manure, which can be used in adding in soil for growing the crops or the plants. Recycling. Non-biodegradable waste are recycled to make new items. For example, the plastics or the metals can be recycled to make other useful items. Reuse. It is conventional technique to use an item again. For example, newspapers, they are used for making the paper bags, envelopes, etc. So these are the different methods of waste disposal. Biogas plant, sewage treatment plant, landfillings, compositing, recycling, reuse. So with this topic, we have finished the chapter. I hope you all have understood. If you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubt. Okay, go through your textbook once, read your textbook, and go through the video also once. If you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section. Thank you for watching my channel, Science Learning Gateway. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to it. And if you like this tutorial, please click on the like button and share it with your friends also. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, so that whenever I will be uploading a new video, you will get the notification for that. You can also connect with me through my Facebook page, and whenever some updates will be there, I will post that update in the Facebook, so that you will know about any of the videos or any more updates about that. Thank you for watching my channel.